Hi, everybody. We are here with Elizabeth, and I am so excited for you guys to hear her story today. Elizabeth lives in South Carolina and moved when did she move? She bought a property all the way across the country, at least it feels that way, in Indiana. So today we're going to talk to her and hear about her story and her journey in my coaching program, Successful Rental Properties. So Elizabeth, maybe start off telling everybody like what you do for work, where you guys kind of at in life and what got you excited to think about wanting to invest in rental properties.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I essentially wanted to make the most of the money that we had kind of set aside and got into thinking about real estate because it really seems like something that is stable over time and just seemed like something that would be a good investment over time.
Before, I guess prior to joining my program, like what kind of research or whatever have you done? Some people will like listen to tons of podcasts or like dive into bigger pockets or read books. What kind of things did you do?
All the things. It's so overwhelming. You get to a point where you feel like you've read the books and you've absorbed as much information as you can, but there's still so many questions to actually jump in. And I feel like when I saw your course and your Instagram, that's where I really felt like, okay, she can take me from point A to point B here. And it's like such a big investment and you have so many questions, and then you have questions that you should be asking that you're not asking. And so to have someone that has a ton of experience and just a wealth of knowledge was something that I felt like was really worth pursuing, just so that I didn't completely flop with buying the first property.
What kinds of, so like obviously buying a property is like a huge process. There's a bunch of different like steps and knowledge points you have to get things right. What sorts of things were you worried about where you're like, you know what, I'm going to need help, I should get someone to help me along the way? Sometimes I have real estate agents that join, so okay, well, they know how to do the purchase, or I have contractors that join my program, so they know how to do the rehab. What parts of the process were you worried about doing on your own that you're like, I think I should probably get some guidance for this?
Yeah, so I think it really came down to, as simple as it sounds, location and then cash flow. I wasn't ever confident in knowing what things were going to rent for in the places that I was looking at, and then really figuring out my numbers as far as what I was going to have to pay for the house, and then, that rental number. That's kind of two huge components in making sure that you're going to be successful. So that was really my sticking point where I was like, I need more help.
Yeah. Do you feel like now you know how to do it and you can do it all by
Oh
yourself?
yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like once you know, and it's the methods that you go through in the course are very clear. And I just feel like there's a lot of things out there where they're like promise to give you clarity and then you don't really get clarity. But I definitely feel confident moving forward. And I think too, with your course, it's not like you just give the information and then like let me be. It was really like you were invested the whole time, which was amazing.
Yeah. I love seeing you at the meetings when you come. Um, so through the program, there's course element, like we just talked about, right? The online course element and the BrickbyBrickWealth, all the tools and all that. And then there's like the coaching aspect. What would you say was maybe like the biggest help of all the little tiny things that I offered or put together? What was the biggest help, the biggest got bang for your buck, or what was the thing that helped you the most?
Yeah. So obviously having the course to go back to over time is going to be awesome. And then I would say office hours, in addition to in our coaching calls, was really cool just to keep you going as far as like being in a community of other people that are in the same stage. And then they have questions that maybe I didn't have. And then being able to hear you answer a whole pool of questions at once and just like shove away all that knowledge for future situations was really helpful.
I was just curious. So let's talk about your property. So, where did you buy it? Why did you pick that area? Any problems that you had with location or any hurdles you had before you, I know usually finding out where people are going to buy and is the hardest part, right? And then once you like you know the numbers and you know your zip codes, it's much easier. Like it's funner, it's like less work, more fun. But anyways, let's talk about your first property and we can just start with that.
Yeah, so I ended up buying in Hammond, Indiana. I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, so I had some knowledge of the area, but Hammond is not really near where I grew up. So I didn't know that much about it, but kind of through the different like strategies and I guess like information collection that you go through in the course, I was able to really pinpoint that as a town that would cash flow well. So we bought there, and honestly, by the time we listed the house, I had no idea what a response we would get for trying to get renters. We had over 100 people calling and applying and all of that. So it was amazing to see how really like it's close to a major metro area, essentially near Chicago. So there was a lot of people that would be commuting there and wanting that location specifically. So that gave me a lot of confidence in the decision that I ended up making to buy there, which was awesome.
So tell everyone the numbers, like what was the purchase price, interest rate, how much you put down, what's it cash flow for, what's it rent? Oh, tell us about the fun, and you got more rent too. That's always best.
Yes. So it was listed at 189 and we ended up getting it for 172. The family really needed to just move on. They had a job in a different state. And at first I was a little bit nervous to give an offer that much lower, but I kind of knew their situation. And knew some camps in the area, which is obviously helpful. So got it for 172. We're at a 7.1 interest rate. And I listed it at $1,650 for the rent. And then with the response that we got, with the few applicants that I had that were like ideal in my mind, I essentially said, give me your highest and best. And so we ended up getting $1,750 for it. And yeah, it's really been an awesome process as far as that goes. I don't know if there's more numbers.
Well, I think those are the bulk numbers. But some people that are probably watching this are, well, today's interest rates are so high. How do you find that cash flows? And just like you're saying, Elizabeth, 7.1% interest rate, and your cash flow is what, over 400?
Yeah, I think it'll be near 450.
Or 450 a month. Like that's awesome. And the house was under 200,000. So it can be done. And the demand, I remember when you told me, you're like, Casey, I've had 100 people call. Like, how do you deal with all this? I'm like, I don't get that many calls. I'm like, shoot, you're underpriced. You gotta raise your price up. But that was really cool the way you did that. Just give me your highest and best. I like that. And you got a good little group of tenants there moving in. So that have moved in. So did they pay October rent?
They have paid October rent, and they have their security deposit. They actually moved in a few days before, so they ended up paying for that chunk as well. Yeah. But they were very eager to get me sent that first month's rent and deposit so that they knew they had the house.
I love it. That's awesome. So you got your first rental property, and how do you feel? So like before, you joined the program, you didn't have your first rental property. You were like, I don't know how you're feeling, but like, how do you feel now that you have one under your belt? Like, how has it kind of changed you a little bit?
Yeah, I guess I am always thinking just in life in general that I don't want to live with regrets. And I just knew that if I didn't take the jump and kind of bet on myself and maybe put a little bit of pressure on myself to be accountable to somebody else, that it might not ever happen. And so I wanted to take that jump. And I would say on the other end, there's definitely a sense of like accomplishment, because it's not just buy a house and put someone in it. Like, it is work and you do have to put thought into it. And I think just knowing too that money that's in the house now is working and adding to my family's future, like all of that together just makes me feel like it was well worth it, and is almost like a catalyst to wanting to do more of it, and just in life in general too, like maybe take a risk and do your best and it may pay off.
Yeah, I love it. So what are your goals with real estate? Have you thought about like kind of what your future holds?
Yeah, so I think I probably have, I feel like a lot of people get into real estate and they want like 200 doors or whatever. And that's great, but I do think I would want to scale reasonably. And then I can't say I have a number of doors in mind, but just being consistent with investing in this way is something that I definitely want to do over time.
I love it. Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for doing this little testimonial thing with me today. I really appreciate it. And it's been great having you in the program. Thank you for believing in me to kind of lead you down this journey. So thank you very much.